Hi, I'm Joe Chura and welcome to 630 Naperville. This episode has a little something for everyone. So glad to have you with us. On this program, we'll discover why small changes have the biggest impact on our health. We'll investigate the man behind the badge and find out why you need a really good real estate attorney. But first, we're headed to Allegory with Daniel Tufano to find out what farm to table really means.
There's so many unique dining experiences in downtown Naperville. I'm at one of them right now, Allegory on Main Street. I'm Danielle Tufano with the Downtown Naperville Alliance. Hi, Chris. We're in downtown Naperville on South Main Street at Allegory. Chris Mason is the owner.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for being here. And, you know, when you go to a lot of restaurants, you have your tried and true favorites on the menu. But I noticed with Allegory, things come and things go. Is there a reason behind that?
Well, we're in Illinois, so not everything grows year round. Mm-hmm. So I'm limited by our seasonality and where we're at geographically. In the springtime, when things are in season in the spring, which is going to be like cold leafy greens and spinaches and stuff like that, asparagus, of course, that's what we're going to be focused on. This one has been around a little bit longer than most dishes because people love it.
What is this?
This is my Reuben, my friend Reuben.
I knew what it was.
Yeah.
As it was set down. I knew what it was when it was back there because I could smell it. My favorite dish on your menu.
Talk you very much. I'd like to think that it's the best Reuben in the world. I would put that in a competition against anybody's Reuben.
It's really hard to concentrate with this sitting in front of me. But let's talk. We talked a little bit about local. Your story behind your greens and where you source them from. Let's talk about that.
My microgreens, that's the best version ever. I have a number of vendors in the area that source microgreens and grow them, but actually my general manager's mom grows them for us.
I love that.
Which is great because she only needs like 2 weeks heads up, and I can ask her for any microgreen I want.
Yeah, so if you need something specific, you have that relationship with her.
And it's very nimble.
I'm sure. Why do you think Naperville needed something like Allegory?
Who doesn't? I'd like to think that we're a great spot for people to come casual. Our food changes often. I'm the only chef-owned farm-to-table restaurant in Naperville, so that gives me a pretty unique edge, and I can change my menu at will.
Yeah, I love it. What's this that's sitting in front of me? This looks delicious.
Yeah, that's the shrimp and grits. I've been threatened by a number of people to never take that one off the menu. I think you included.
Yeah.
This is my take on a southern shrimp and grits. They're blackened shrimp, and the grits are really cheesy, really, really cheesy.
Yeah.
And with a brown butter.
You know, that's the interesting thing too, is that you try to change your menu up seasonally, but then you have such good food on your menu that nobody wants you to change. What's on it?
Listen, I've gotten used to that over the years. No matter what you serve, no matter how great it is, people even a dish that may not be doing great. Somebody's always going to love it.
Yeah.
And you just have to sort of believe in yourself that what you're going to bring to the table next is going to be great.
One thing that I've noticed has been like exploding over the last couple of years, charcuterie boards. So how did you start to piece this together?
This is just an offering of all things great. It's literally called the Chef's Never Bored board, and it rotates depending on also a huge part of seasonality. And a lot of our rotation comes from when I get bored and I just want to change stuff up, which is something that most restaurants can't do.
Yeah,
so
I
get away with that.
Definitely unique with Allegory. When you were trying to find a place for your restaurant, why did you choose downtown Naperville?
Because Naperville's great.
Naperville is great. Obviously, we know that.
Huge community support. It has a great collection of other retail and dining and built-in foot traffic and the best community support I think I've seen in a community. Honestly, everybody are all about shop local, shop small. They support me. I have like 83% of my customers are repeat. That's unheard of in the industry. I'm pretty proud of that.
Nice. Well, Chris Mason, the owner of Allegory, we're going to eat. We're going to have some things to drink. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Danielle Tafano with another episode of Around Downtown. Thanks for joining us.
Now I have the pleasure of welcoming Dr. Douglas Tran, an internal medicine physician with the Edward Medical Group. He's here to talk about the 4 small changes you can make that will have a big impact on your health. Welcome to the show, Dr. Tran.
Thanks for having me today, Joe.
It's great to have you. So one of the things that I think about that I want to ask you is when people are thinking about health goals, they often think really big. Why is it important to think about smaller goals?
You know, we talked off camera on how you just finished a Spartan Ultra, which is an immense goal. But starting small is going to allow you to be able to adhere to those changes in your daily routine and working up to those bigger goals, like losing 50 pounds, like finishing a marathon, perhaps even finishing that Spartan Ultra race that you may have on your checkbox there.
Yeah, and what was interesting about that race is one of the techniques I used, because it was 31 miles, is to look at micro goals, is to not think about it. If I thought about 31 miles, I would have failed immediately. But what I thought about is I have to make it to the next mile, and then that next mile. And I could see that parallel so perfectly with a health journey, right? Because you can't take that on and say, tomorrow I want to lose 50 pounds. I mean, you might want to, but it's not possible. So it's really about creating those micro goals.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I mean, small little goals throughout a period of time, being patient. You know, most changes are going to become habits after 21 days, 3 weeks. Sounds short, is long to do that consistently. So you really just trust the process, be patient, and your goals are going to come.
Yeah, that makes sense. And when we think about habit formation, one of the other things that I learned is to, let's say you want to work out in the AM. It's to remove all the friction, like literally put your shoes next to your bed, sleep in your workout clothes, do things to make it easier for you to work out. Because if you don't do that and it becomes harder, you might be apt to not pay attention or not put in that effort because you're just not aware. So I was just wondering your thoughts on that. So remove friction from your daily routines.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Once again, setting those changes that's going to hammer in habits that are going to make that routine that's really going to set you up for success. And we know that with those routines, changes will come in a positive way.
So speaking of changes and instant gratification, I know, like to the point earlier, we all want to lose weight quick. We all want to get in shape. We all want that cholesterol down right away. What is some realistic kind of benchmarks and guidelines that people can expect when embarking on a health journey?
Hey, listen, start small. Most of us aren't, elite athletes here. We're busy. We're working. Who hasn't been stressed over these last few years? And I try to make sure that my patients are emotionally, mentally healthy. I have them meditate. Try to meditate in the morning, in the evening for a few minutes. We're inundated by our smartphones and emails. Take a pause, breathe for 10 seconds, take a deep breath before you answer that email or answer that text. Just moving, being able to walk further, climb stairs, get your heart rate up, do something fun, dancing, maybe playing pickleball, something like that. Nutrition is hugely important. Hydration, drinking throughout the day. Drinking before meals so you don't overeat. That will help decrease your calories. And sleep. Everyone forgets about sleep. Setting a good sleep habit, aiming for 7 to 9 hours a night, going to bed and waking up the same time each day, even on the weekends, are just habits that are going to pay dividends.
Yeah, that makes sense. When I think about meditation, it's funny. My son is just very active and his brain doesn't shut off. And at night, I started doing a 10-minute meditation with him. And it is amazing. Like I'll lay in bed with him, and immediately when he starts using these breathing techniques, they're very basic, but he has a chance to turn off his thoughts and immediately falls asleep. Like sometimes within 2 minutes. And I just think meditation, if you think about the world we're in and the stress and the busyness, to pause, breathe, think, and act is so important. So I love that point that you made a minute ago. Now, when I think about how a physician can help someone along their journey. What are some things that you do in your practice that can help others?
I mean, I think that setting up with a physician is great. Getting baseline labs, getting a blood pressure, setting goals for yourself that are measurable. The physicians at Edward Elmhurst and our advanced care practitioners are really eager to partner with our community. We're willing to set up goals with our patients and be able to hold our community accountable, having regular checkups to see what goals have been smashed. We can provide resources. We have medical specialties that we can connect our community with to really get everyone healthier and happier.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. And I'm a huge advocate for measuring what you want to change. So getting those baseline labs, checking your cholesterol, your blood pressure, that in itself is motivation because you can see those numbers improve and you want to keep repeating those habits. When I really started my health journey in 2019, I focused on that. I got my cholesterol done, I got my blood pressure done, and I was like, I am like a 65-year-old man right now, and I need to do something about it. But what was remarkable is when I started to take action and started to measure those things again, when you see progress, that turns into motivation. So I think those are all great points.
Yeah, you're exactly right. The initial changes may be something small. You may feel like you have more energy. You may feel like you have more focus. You're have better self-esteem. Your clothes are fitting a little bit looser now. You're sitting with your posture a little bit better. But as those changes becomes habits and those habits progress, you'll start changing. You'll see improvement in blood pressure and cholesterol, which really lowers your risk for heart disease, diabetes, stroke, which still are the #1 killers of Americans in this country.
Well, I could talk about this all day, but we have to go. And I just want to thank you so much for your wisdom here and all of your help. And it's great to have you on the show.
I appreciate having me today. This was great.
More 630 Naperville is coming up after the break. Stay tuned.
So in Q4, Susan.
We were there when your fourth cold brew felt like a heart attack.
Oh no!
Cold brew has a lot of caffeine in it.
We were there for that.
Fair.
And we're here for everything else. Here it's personal because we get to know you.
Come explore downtown Naperville this spring with over 100 shops, from national favorites to one-of-a-kind boutiques. It's the premier shopping destination in the western suburbs. Enjoy over 50 restaurants for carry-out, delivery, and safe dining. Or relax at one of our many spas. For a night away, don't forget about Hotel Indigo, located right on the Riverwalk. Come shop, dine, stay, and explore downtown Naperville.
Welcome back to 630 Naperville. Up next, 2 Naperville siblings are going for the gold in Brazil this summer as part of the Deaf Olympics. We learn about their amazing journey in this edition of Sports Story.
Badminton will be part of the Deaf Olympics this summer for the 10th time when the games take place in Caxias do Sul, Brazil in May. But it will be the first time the United States competes, and the whole team is from right here in the southwest Chicago suburbs. Not only that, they all train at Midwest Badminton Club, which has locations in Naperville and Woodridge. Siblings Jay and Judy Yang, whose aunt and uncle founded the club, are both headed to Brazil. Jay and Judy both began playing competitively at a young age, and while playing the same sport as your sibling at such a high level can cause some friction, they also push each other to continually improve. But this new challenge, as the first ever badminton players to represent the United States at the Deaflympics, is unlike anything they've prepared for. Not only will they face new opponents, but just like an audible speech, there could be a bit of a language barrier. While it may be the biggest step either has yet taken in their badminton careers, there may be much more ahead, particularly for Jay, who is still only in high school. Reporting for Sports Story from the Midwest Badminton Club, Alex Campbell, NCTV 17.
I'm joined now by James Bernanke of the Bernanke Law Firm. He's here to chat real estate law and why you need a really good attorney. Great to see you, James.
Nice to see you, Joe.
So one of the biggest questions I have, and many do, is why do you need a real estate attorney?
Well, when you're in a real estate transaction, which is usually the biggest transaction of your life, you need someone who's looking out for your best interest legally. You've usually got a great team on your side for other areas. So if you're selling, you've got your realtor who told you your listing and your price, how long you might be on market. They've got their pulse on, hands on the pulse of that. You might have a stager. You might have, other people on your team. If you're buying, you've got your realtor, you've got your mortgage lender, you've got, a home inspector. But you need someone who's looking out for you legally, who can explain all the legalese to you, who can negotiate for credits or different types of things, who can review the contract and make sure that you're fully understanding everything you're getting into, whether you're buying or you're selling.
I recently sold my home, and what I was shocked to find is in using a real estate attorney is how affordable it was, and the value seemed significant, as if I was going to receive another bill that never came. Like, why is that?
It's just a product of the market and competitive fees. But in comparison to a lot of areas of the law, real estate attorneys do charge a little less. It's not as much as most people think it is. We've had a lot of people say after the closing, "Oh, that's it." Much like yourself, is there more coming, or is that just an estimate? Because when you look at the grand scheme of things, when you're going through all your figures, you'll find that you're paying taxes to the city, state, and county. You're paying a home inspector. You're paying your survey, all different kinds of fees, and the attorney is usually less or right there with those sort of fees, just in general.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So this market is obviously unbelievably hot right now. How do you find yourself helping people the most?
Yes. So in a market like this, where we're dealing with lots of buyers and not quite as many sellers, it kind of changes the dynamic. And a lot of times we're dealing with multiple buyers on one house. I had a friend who's a realtor, and over the weekend they had something like 30 showings and 10 offers, which is absolute insanity. They had people lined up down the street to look at this house. And in situations like that, we're always happy to step in and help, even before the contract is signed. If we're on the sell side, there are things we can do in the background. We can pull the title, make sure that there's nothing on there that people aren't aware of that might be a problem towards selling. There's a lot of people who maybe have an ex-spouse on the title and they thought it was taken care of and it wasn't. They may have put their house in a trust. There may be a lien from a previous owner that wasn't properly released. There's lots of things like that that we can, help get everything in a row so when the buyer does come, everything's smooth. And on the buy side too, we can look and see, did the seller pull all their permits for their renovations? Are they in foreclosure? Are they some kind of city liens or special assessments coming to the property? Things like that that might make a buyer shy away from it, or maybe adjust their asking price for certain things like that. So generally we come in when a contract is signed, but we're always happy to help and work as part of the team as early as the client needs us.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because from the home that I sold, it was a similar scenario where I actually had multiple offers at once. There was like nothing, then all of a sudden there was a lot. And I actually had letters coming in. And the fact that you're saying you could do some homework on your end, that would have been so helpful to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's the sales, buys and sells, they can be a stressful time for people. And I always say if there's things that we can get done early and take that off your plate, that's helpful. So if we can, look at all those things on your title report, get them wrapped up, if we can have you sign documents early so that you don't have to go to the closing and that you're just worried about loading all your earthly possessions on a truck and moving to another place, that's a lot for people to handle. And, if we can make the process easier for you, then we feel as though we've done, our job.
There's so much we can talk about today. Unfortunately, we have to wrap, but thank you, James, so much for being here.
No, it was a real pleasure.
After the break, NCTV 17 Executive Director Liz Spencer sits down with Chief of Police Jason Aries to find out what makes him tick and a Naperville notable you don't want to miss. Don't go anywhere.
We were there when your kid discovered poison ivy.
Now remember, leaves of 3.
Let it be.
We were there for that, and we're here for everything else. Here, it's personal, because we get to know you.
Come explore downtown Naperville this spring with over 100 shops, from national favorites to one-of-a-kind boutiques. It's the premier shopping destination in the western suburbs. Enjoy over 50 restaurants for carry-out, delivery, and safe dining. Or relax at one of our many spas. For a night away, don't forget about Hotel Indigo, located right on the Riverwalk. Come shop, dine, stay, and explore downtown Naperville.
Thank you for joining us on 630 Naperville. My guest today needs little introduction. I'm joined by Chief of Police Jason Aries. Thanks for joining us, Jason.
Thanks for having me, Liz.
The fun thing with what we're doing here today is that I don't want crime stats. I kind of want to go behind the badge and meet the man. And the way I kind of want to do that is with a little bit more what I would call party questions or fun questions that you might talk about with your friends. So to get it started, I kind of want to know, what are your 3 biggest accomplishments thus far?
Okay, easy. My first one is marrying my wife, Nikki. The rock of my life. We've been together since 1997, so awesome. Quarter century. Wow. It's a long time together. She knows me inside and out and keeps me afloat, keeps me humbled like a good wife is supposed to. The next is, again, an easy number 2, and these 2 are interchangeable, would be the births of our daughters, Sydney and Charlotte. Sydney's 13 and in 7th grade, and Charlotte's my 8-year-old, and she's in 3rd grade. Both completely different, but both amazing daughters, and have really helped shape the man that I am today, really helped me grow as a human being, as a man, and even as a leader.
You're a girl dad.
I am.
There you go.
I am. Very, very blessed, very blessed.
That's
and they take good care of me, they do. And then the third one, also very easy, it's my professional one, and it's really having this honor bestowed upon me to be the Chief of Police for the Naperville Police Department, what I consider to be the best police department in the country. Not rhetoric. I've had an opportunity to work with other departments throughout the country, and we do things really well here because of the phenomenal community, the phenomenal men and women in the department, and the phenomenal support we have from our elected officials.
That's awesome. Well, we agree. So we appreciate what the Naperville Police Department does for everybody.
Well, thank you.
So, but as we think about those great accomplishments, you've got to have a little fun. Mm-hmm. There has to be some smiles, some relief. So I'm wondering what your fun foods are, your favorite go-to foods.
So it's going to seem like an oxymoron because I'm big into fitness, and the foods you're going to hear have nothing to do with fitness. But I think everybody needs a treat when you're very disciplined with your diet. So here we go. It's stuffed pizza, a really good steak, and then my favorite Portillo's beef sandwich and chocolate cake shake. All great go-tos. It's a once-a-week treat. Love it. My family loves kind of being along for the ride with these meals, and it's a fun thing to do.
That's awesome. Well, and you need, when you're trying to be disciplined with fitness and food, that once a week is something to look forward to, and that I think helps make the diet and the lifestyle better.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
It really peaks, it gets you looking forward to that. And it's really like a Sunday, I guess I should add, it's a Sunday family meal for us. So it's a reason, we get takeout, we sit down at the table, and it's a really big tradition that I actually hope lives on beyond just the four of us, that my kids bring in this Sunday night family tradition of their own.
That's great. Well, and it's taken, so it's a little easier too. You don't have to cook something on Sunday night, and sometimes got a big week ahead. That's a lot easier.
Yep.
So another one of my favorite questions, and it's one that you chose off the list, was what would you tell your younger self, or what advice would you give yourself? Yep. And I think that's a great question because I think we often reflect back on things that happen and we come up with these little nuggets. So I'm curious what yours is.
So I'd like to lead into that. It started with being told when I was younger, set goals. And it was during sports, set goals for yourself. And I think as a young man, teenager, it's there, but it didn't set in as much for me until I went into my professional years. And it's a motto I came up with, and I realized a life without goals is an endless journey to nowhere. And that's really what's driven me. So I always set short and long-term goals for myself. And that's really, honestly, when people ask, how have you gotten to where you've gotten? It's really by setting goals and working to achieve those. It really helps navigate that road of life. And it's not just professionally, it's personally too. So it gives you that roadmap to getting where you want to get. You're going to have, road bumps, potholes, detours, but if you stay focused and stay committed to that goal, you'll eventually get there.
That's a great motto. And it just gives you a lot of chance to think about where you want to go too. And I don't think we often take enough time to do that. We kind of just roll with the flow.
It is. A lot of people are that way, and I bring that up to the new officers. Set goals from day one when you start. Where do you want to be? And if it's chief someday, that's great. If it's this someday, it's great. But set that goal, or 10 years are going to go by, and you're not going to. Where are you? And are you going to realize what you could have done or couldn't have done? Use those as your guiding light.
And no goals too big. Look at you. You're chief of police. So congratulations.
Thanks.
Jason, thanks for stopping by and sharing some thoughts with me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.
It was fun. We'll have you back.
Excellent.
Next up, producer Kevin Maychek helps NCTV 17 celebrate 35 years with a Naperville gem that focuses on the inspiration we see, feel, and have the honor of sharing every day.
To be inspired is great. To inspire others is incredible. At Naperville Community Television, we are inspired every single day by so many incredible people willing to share their very personal stories with us, and ultimately the community. As we celebrate NCTV 17's 35th anniversary, we're also celebrating gems that make our community shine. And for February, it's our appreciation for inspiration. That's really the heart behind the storytelling that we do. The greatest of stories are those that move us. From achieving the seemingly impossible, to overcoming adversity, to neighbors helping neighbors. You can find such stories around every corner in our great city. Take, for example, the story of Olivia Parker, a 12-year-old fighting cancer. After her vacation to Paris was canceled due to the pandemic, her subdivision brought Paris to her. We've also shared the story of two young Naperville brothers who aren't letting cystic fibrosis get in the way of their dreams, who despite many challenges, are active in both sports and fighting for a cure. Then there's Dance On, and their story of how they took an experience with bullying, something that might otherwise be upsetting, and turned it into something positive. Or how about the journey of Eric Montgomery, who set out to cross the Pacific Crest Trail, taking more than 4.5 million steps in his hike for hope. Or the journey of Lucy Westlake, the Naperville North student who's the youngest woman to climb the highest peak in all 50 states. Inspiration has been especially relevant during these last couple of years as we all look for hope and motivation to get us through a continuing pandemic. And there have been countless examples of Napervillians spreading joy, kindness, and love during this difficult time. Inspiration is often the driving force behind change for a better tomorrow, and that's why it shines among our list of Naperville Gems.
I love seeing all those inspirational moments in that Naperville Gem. Our community sure knows how to come together and lift each other up. That's going to do it for us on this edition of 630 Naperville. Remember, if you think you can do more, you can. I'm Joe Chura, and I'll see you next time.